42,000, Nelspruit, another sellout. Boks going for just their 5th title in 29 years. That's Tri-Nation / Rugby Championship. Zels, I was speaking to our Irish mates a bit earlier this morning, and they said since 2005, the Boks have won more World Cups, basically, than they've won Rugby Championships. And they want to know why. Why is it so hard for us to have won the Rugby Championship, yet we seem to find it quite easy to win World Cups?
Well, there's nobody in the Rugby Championship to knock out the All Blacks. In the World Cup, we get away with it, mate. Somebody takes care of the All Blacks for us.
I said that we are a very good knockout nation, and we can
100%.
build a campaign within a campaign like a World Cup. And for the most, when you're playing in World Cups, you're playing one country.
One venue.
One
No
venue,
jet
one
lag.
country. Where the Rugby Championship, you fly into Australia, you fly into New Zealand, you fly into Argentina.
Spot on.
And if you drop a game early on in New Zealand with the draw, you're pretty much out of it.
Yeah.
You've really, and coupled to that, Mighty McCaw, Dan Carter, and the like, between 2011 and 2015, they had a super side. And they've had some incredible sides.
Indeed.
The Wallabies, they've got 4 titles. We've got 4. New Zealand's got 20. That's 28 titles. They've won 20 of 28, and we've always got to acknowledge that. And the Argentinians, they are playing to win their first ever Rugby Championship title in Nelspruit.
Yo.
But you wouldn't believe it when you see the match 23 they've picked. And I'm going to go on record now and say, not Boks by 10, Boks by 30.
Yo.
Boks
Jinxed.
by 30.
Jinxed.
Confident enough, it's the best available 23 that we've got. Manie Libbok's going to have an incredible first hour. No pressure on him kicking goals. He's going to play with Tony Ball freedom. Our pack's going to dominate. The Argentinians have picked the kind of squad to bring on some of their top dogs in the last 30, 40 minutes. It's not going to matter. Los Pumas are going to take a beating.
I'm actually on the same train. 30 points is a bit stiff, I think, but definitely on the same train. I will say, because I looked it up, Argentina generally finish stone last in this competition. They finished third once or twice, and they finished second in the year we didn't even play. This is the first time they've been in with a shot to win this thing. So they're not coming to South Africa to be extras in a kung fu movie. Like, these oaks, are they going to die out in that field? I'm not sure that emotion is going to be enough, though. The Boks have been waiting for this one. They've got something to play for after last week. And I'm going to give it to the Boks to win it. Do you want me to tell you by how much?
Of course.
I'm going to say 22 points, Boks.
22 points. Do you have a score?
I'm going to say in the region, let's go with 44-22.
44-22. I have the Boks to win 45-15.
Oh, you're probably a lot closer.
By 30 points.
That's a nice
what
one.
we're consistent is that the Boks are on 44, 45 points. Now,
Yes.
are we being arrogant, cocky, and just foolish? Yeah.
We just beat ourselves. So, yes.
To all our Spanish friends in Argentina, because the Pumas are my second favorite team. Buenos Aires, outside of Cape Town, my favorite city to visit. I've had some wonderful experiences there. I love the people. And obviously, the little magician who plays soccer in number 10, Mr. Messi, is my favorite footballer. So I am so happy that the Pumas
I love the
have created history. They've beaten the All Blacks in New Zealand, scored 38 points, the most the team's ever scored against them. We got 36, also in Wellington, in 2018 under Rassie Erasmus. And they beat Australia 67-27, and they beat the Springboks 29-28. So when I did chat to my Irish mates this morning, they were like, the invincible Springboks, the team no one can touch. How do you explain the defeat? And I said, well, there were 10 changes.
Exactly.
And we spoke about it earlier in the week, the depth. There is a difference between the 23 that is playing on Saturday and the 23 that ran out in Santiago.
Indeed.
And it's not like for like. With the greatest respect to the starting locks, Ibn Etzebeth, in a class of his own, 128 test matches, he goes past
Precisely.
the iconic Victor Matfield as South Africa's most capped player ever. And he's starting. And he will fire them up. If you look at the clips of the game last Saturday, at the end, who was putting them together in that huddle? It was Big Eben. He's saying, enough. Enough of this.
I loved it.
Enrique, by the way.
What?
Mexican, they said. You don't sound Spanish.
I got to talk to my dialect coach.
My name is Jeff.
Huh?
Get a refund.
They said give Ricky some
Ricky a refund.
See, I'll give him some good Spanish tutorials because he's sounding more Mexican than he is Spanish. But a wonderful, wonderful rugby championship for the Pumas as is. Philippe Contamponi, we spoke about Razor. This is Razor against Rassie. Joe Smith's influence. Kind of Contamponi was an afterthought. Not anymore.
Well, I mean, we say that now, but you just picked him to lose by 30 points.
They've already played their World Cup.
You see, now, that's the kind of stuff that they are going to put on the wall in the change room to fire them up. We've been written off. They're saying this in Spanish. We've been written off by Mark Hierhain. How?
And Zealand now.
Yeah.
Can you believe those Oaks are saying we'll concede 44 or 45 points?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes. That's what they're thinking.
They're
I like that team. That Argentina team is quite nice.
But you still said they'll lose by 25 points.
I know.
22 points.
I do think the Boks will be particularly up for this one. I think Benno Skiff, who's going to be the ref, is going to play a very crucial role in this one. And I have a suspicion that the scrum is going to be a good contest.
Why do you say the scrum will be a good contest now, given last week we were so dominant?
Yes, we were. But
it's a stronger pack that we've picked to start with, and equally power coming off the bench.
I just have a hunch that they're going to have a plan for the scrum, because the Boks without the scrum are a very different team. A Bok team that isn't always sort of in plus territory behind that scrum. Tactically, I think there are some fracture lines there. So I wonder whether that isn't something, maybe they recall the Bajada or whatever. But I think they're going to have a plan for that scrum. It's just a hunch.
Their scrum has been okay at best for the last couple of years. Where they've really improved is their back play. They run some wonderful angles, and they run the ball back, and they're prepared to back themselves on attack. We saw that in that Wellington game when they're 20 points to 8 down. They got a momentum shift on the All Blacks. And then every time D-Mac just blasted that thing away, the old Argentinian teams would have caught it, kicked it, contestable, sought out the comfort of the touchline. They said, no, we're changing direction. Yeah, we're having a go. And they were very successful. And they had a go against us, admittedly, where Kirtley was off the field, to score 4 unanswered tries. And the thing there, we were 17-0 up. The next moment, they'd scored 24 points. So they do have the capacity to cut us to shreds.
And they do have a goal kicker now, because they've got Santiago Carreras at fullback.
Yeah, I don't think this game's going to be decided by goal kicking.
So you say.
It's not going to be decided by goal kicking, okay? That one happened in Santiago.
Yeah.
This one is going to be a tri-fest.
I love it!
It's a tri-fest.
We should have Biltong on the show.
It's going to be Tony Ball.
Somebody should send us Biltong.
Tony Ball is going to come good.
Oh, I can't wait, mate.
And you're going to have to say, on Monday, they peaked at the right time. Tony got it right, and we go into the international break for a month, rested, confident to go to the Northern Hemisphere in November.
Glorious.
And show a little bit more Tony Ball.
Glorious.
And evolve our game.
I mean, the one benefit of getting it wrong last week is that we're going to lift the trophy in Nelspruit. We're going to win it in Nelspruit. That's what I want. I mean, that winning it in Argentina and then celebrating it a week later wouldn't have been the same thing.
Yeah, and you don't want to get it by losing within 7 points. And so you lose both games and they give you the trophy afterwards. That would be uncool, man.
Ooh.
Huh?
Yeah. Make you take a swig of your whiskey.
All right, looking at the Rugby Championship as a whole, where have you seen the Springboks growth areas? The Pumas, and we'll get to Australia and New Zealand. We've got one game to go. The Boks should win it. They should win it comfortably. They're at home. They're going to get only their 5th win in 29 years. And we keep on reminding and reinforcing that point because we have battled to win the All Tri-Nations and then the Rugby Championship. And of those 4 wins, one was also when it was shortened during the World Cup year.
Yes.
So this will be our first big one where you've played 6 matches and you've come out as top dogs.
Big time.
And you want it to be played 6-1-5. We wanted to be played 6-1-6 because they're good enough to have done that.
Correct.
But there are growth areas with one eye on 2027 World Cup in Australia. But what's the greatest positive you would take from what you've seen so far from the Boks, from the Pumas, and then if you give me a couple of thoughts on the Wallabies and the All Blacks?
Look, I think for the Boks, the good news story for the Boks has been the players that have come through. So Rassie has gambled and won, bringing through some guys that we've spoken about a couple of times. The Kero Steenekamps, the Sasha Feinberg and Gomezulu's. Granty Williams has had a bit of a run. I think we've started to get answers, and I say this as a positive in light of where we're trying to get to. We found some answers about some of the veterans that are maybe not in the best of form and are probably going to be surplus to requirements going forward. So there's been a lot of fact finding and a lot of answers on the personnel front, I think, for the Boks. For me, that's the good news story there. I don't see a lot of positives in the performances, which we've spoken about ad nauseum. The scrum is a massive strength of South Africa's and is a strength that needs to be maintained. So I think that's obviously a positive. For Argentina, fantastic jerseys. Beautiful jerseys, you've got to love it. The stripes, gorgeous. Also, relatively young team, massively on the rise under Contepomi, and a team that is not one-dimensional, and a team that has shown a lot of maturity given the relative youth of some of the guys in that squad. So they've got a lot of experience in some places, like Matera, Montoya, but what they've shown is that when they face adversity, they can bounce back. I think for them, massive work on is going to be the continuity side of it, to string multiple performances together, but there's certainly a lot of fight in that squad. You've got to love that.
Well, I mean, they were 20 points to 8 down in Wellington. They came back and won it, scored 38 points. They were 20 points to 3 down after 30 minutes against the Wallabies in the first test in Argentina, came back and won it 67-27. They were 17-0 down within a quarter of an hour against the Boks and came back and won it.
Is there any chance Swayze de Brain is involved with the Pumas? Because that is very much a Lions blueprint. Let teams play beautiful, expansive rugby, run themselves into a coma in the first 20 minutes, dig yourself into a 20-point deficit, and just when they think they've got the game wrapped up, that's when you put your running shoes on, raise the tempo, and take advantage of Oaks who actually aren't conditioned to play for 80.
Talking about that, which brings me back to Razor Robertson and the All Blacks.
Yes.
I just feel they've been gassed every time. The inability to score points in the last 30 minutes or last 25 minutes of the last 5 test matches. They play at such a tempo early on. It looks good. They score some spectacular tries. But to play like that, you've really got to be conditioned, or you've got to have some super bench coming on. They don't look as conditioned, and they don't have that bench that comes on to play that kind of game.
Yeah.
But they have done one thing, maybe by default more than design.
Reluctantly.
They have finally put Bowden Barrett at 10 with Perinara at 9 for this match. They haven't won in Wellington since 2018. Incredible record there. The last time the Aussies were there, I think, was Dave Rennie was in charge, 16 all. And that was quite a surprise. Australia will be fancying themselves.
To do what?
To pitch up.
To sing the national anthem. Mate, just on that All Blacks thing, I mean, he named a team with Bodie at 10, and he kind of did it with a bit of a disclaimer, like, oh, D-Mac is a great player, he's done very, very well. I was quite surprised to see that. I don't really know whether someone's twisted Razor's arm on this thing, but I definitely think picking Hurricanes halfbacks for a must-win game at the Cape Town makes a lot of sense. I mean, I know Bodie's not with the Hurricanes anymore, but he'll always be a Hurricane. TJ Perinara, Bowden Barrett at the Cape Town seems like a sensible thing to do.
And Ardie Sevier at 8. Sam Cane gets his 100th test. It's the last one he will play in New Zealand. I don't know if they'll take him on tour at the end of the year because he's going to retire from international rugby. A great achievement, 13th All Black to become a Test Centurion. You'd have to fancy them to win at home. They've got the Bledisloe Cup, so even if they lost, they still retain it. But they would want a performance that speaks to 60, closer to 80 minutes than to 60 minutes.
Definitely.
Regardless of the score, but a more emphatic performance. And interesting because Geordie Barrett is out. Anton Leonard Brown at 12. You know, it's same old, but him and Rico, 12 and 13. I'm surprised Sever Reese is still there. Everyone tells me Mark Talea can't tackle, but he can certainly run. And again, Ian Foster, he was more a Talea man. Razor obviously coached Sever Reese for all those years. He's gone to what he knows. I see he's brought David Avillian onto the bench.
At last.
The thing that's disappointed me a bit is I really thought Billy Proctor would get a run at some stage in this Rugby Championship. Look, we're not in that squad. We don't know what's going on closer to the action.
Yeah.
But you pick a player, you stick him out there against Fiji, he looks good, and you don't give him 1 minute in the Rugby Championship. It's been very odd selections and kind of very odd game management for a lot of players. And you get the sense that this isn't a guy that's building. This is a guy that feels he's just got to win.
100%. And I spoke about, I feel like the All Blacks need to get a bit more boring in their selections to be better. And I think they've achieved that this week with Anton Leonard-Brown at 12. And Bodie, we've always said, should be at 10. I think they're going to get a good result this week. And I think they're going to be a lot closer to where we expect them to be.
Getting a good result. So we got a lacquer package today. I'm going to read it. It's from a guy called Peter. What's Peter's surname?
I think it's Ferreira, mate.
Petey Ferreira from the Firewater.Africa distillery. And he sent Zels and I the most beautiful, beautiful package. He said he just wanted to say the show rocks. Thanks for what you guys do. And this is something personal. You'll know what to do with it. It's exactly this. I don't know what it is, but I think it is alcoholic and I'm going to be drinking it. He says, in this world of ours, it's a shame that we have to be so careful with T's and C's. This is your brand and your images, and it took me ages to put this together. I have no intention of using the label or slogan for any commercial purposes, unless you guys have other ideas. Use it, mate, to make us some cash.
Exactly.
The content of the bottles is all me, though, my own recipes. Everyone's so caught up in protecting their brands. This is a gift. I also have to admit that Zels is right more often than you, Mark. I know he's right more often than me. I don't know if he's going to be right about Tony Ball. But Pity, a wonderful, wonderful gift. We'll let you know next week how it tastes.
2 bottles of honey. Sure.
2 bottles of honey, rooibos tea, looking good. But yeah, what an incredible and thoughtful gift that you've put together.
Thanks, Pity. This is awesome.
We really appreciate this. And Monty, your El Centurion is now going to be rivaled as well. We're just putting a lot of booze in.
Booze and gambling.
Yeah. Be responsible, guys. Be responsible and watch the Boks take it and take a big in Nelspruit. I'm going to veer away from the Boks for a bit because we've got some cool rugby action. It's the United Rugby Championship. Wow. It is.
It's go time.
2 home games, 2 away games. Starts off with the Lions, 1 p.m. They're up against Ulster in Johannesburg. Then it's the Bulls, Jake White's Bulls, 3 p.m. Edinburgh. And then a doubleheader, 8:35. Both those games after the Boks have lifted the Rugby Championship. We're going to be in incredibly high spirits after the Nelspruit win. And then it's the Stormers against the Ospreys. And it is also Sharks against Connacht. Okay. Now, Dobbo sent me a location early in the week, and it was somewhere in Wales.
Are you guys playing hide and seek?
And I said to him, well, I'd rather be in Cape Town. Much better feeling. And he said to me, and better view. And he sent me a picture of the view, and you'll see it on the screen now, a view from his hotel room, and it looks out on a car park.
All business.
It's terrible car park, all grey and all that. So, Stormers, Ospreys. The big one for me, there's Damian Willems is back in the mix.
Let's go. Gaz is back.
Gaz is back.
Love
and
it.
a class apart. And so important to the Stormers side is to have an X-factor player like that.
Yeah.
He really does lift it. Ruan Nell's back in the mix again. Dan du Plessis there. There's some very good players. BJ Dixon was released late by the Boks, so he's flown over, but he'll start probably off the bench against the Ospreys. But it's going to be a hell of a tough. Any match up north is tough, especially in the first month of the tournament. We've seen that. We've seen it in this league for the past 3 seasons. Our teams have struggled. Pox the odd one, come back and then gone on a roll in South Africa. Stormers, Ospreys, where do you see that going? And you got to be?
What?
You got to have faith.
Sure. This competition has shown it's a bit like the top 14 in that if you can win your away games, you are in the money. So the Stormers had a bit of a tough time on tour last year, and I think a renewed focus on getting the wins overseas, the travel, the logistics, and some of the distractions and whatever, I think will stand them in good stead this year. I hope they make a positive start to the season. I've got them to beat Ospreys. And I'm hoping for all the South African teams that the touring part of this competition becomes more comfortable and more rewarding.
Well, they've got, it's the Ospreys and it's Zebra and then it's Edinburgh. So no easy games. You know, we've seen Zebra beat the Sharks last season, ran a lot of teams close, especially when they play at home. And they certainly have improved, both them and Benetton last season. So...
And the Stormers away jersey looks a bit like the Zebra jersey. Maybe they're going to catch him off guard with that.
And everyone notices how vulnerable the 4 Welsh teams have been. But we don't comfortably go there and put any of those Welsh teams away. They're a hell of a tough to beat.
Yeah.
So I've got the Stormers to win by a score, 5 to 7 points. And I think The key on this tour for me with the Stormers is they just got to bank 4 points.
Just get the
bank
W.
4 points and try and bank a third win.
Totally.
And come home and then kind of set themselves up.
Totally.
So that's 8:35 on Saturday evening. The Sharks in Connacht. That's going to be a very interesting game because Sharks are Challenge Cup winners, Currie Cup winners. Confidence is high. Now they're in the URC and they are a team, our favorite Galacticos. They are a top 4 team and they've got to play like that. And they must be one of the South African favourites given the titles they've won now, the kind of squad depth that they've built.
And the money they're spending on marketing. Superb. They're doing a great job on that front. I actually had Connacht to win this game, but now that you've spoken about it, you've kind of talked me into it. The one thing that the Sharks have got in their favour is that they have the momentum of playing in the Currie Cup. I haven't been tracking what Connacht have been up to. You got to think that sort of cohesion and the tailwind of winning the Currie Cup. I mean, so a guy like Fez Mbata, for me, is playing the best rugby of his career. They've got some guys who are rolling into some form. I just wonder whether that doesn't give them a bit of a downhill slope into the season opener. So I'm going to say the Sharks edge it. Sharks by 3.
A close game, but an important away win on tour, which is worth gold. It's worth double points.
Yeah.
Then at home on the Highveld, 1 p.m. kickoff. Ulster, you may as well have stayed in Belfast. Okay?
Exactly.
I think the Lions are going to do them. They're going to do them well. Lions by 15.
Yeah, the main O's are going to win. I also think I'll give them 8 points.
15. And then at 3 p.m., Bulls, Edinburgh. Always a tight one. Edinburgh, a very good side. Underrated side as well. But the Bulls at home, a bit more complete performance than we saw last season when they faded in that last quarter as well. Maybe Jake should phone Razor, see what's going on in those last 20. I've still got them to win comfortably, but win comfortably by 10 points.
Yeah, I've got Bulls to win. Wilco Low is there and not with the Boks, so that's your scrum, that's your set piece. I think Bulls win this one by 9.
And then we're jumping around a bit here. If we go to Wellington, I've got the All Blacks to win 32-22, 10 points. But also, again, I think we're going to see a patchy kind of performance, a lot of emotion around Sam Cane's final match. It is a sellout, which is a good thing for the Kiwis because when they played Argentina there, it was kind of 2/3 full. But yeah, it's keep the Bledisloe Cup. But a poor ending for a poor campaign by both teams in the Rugby Championship. And both teams I see struggling when they go on their Northern Hemisphere tour, especially New Zealand, who have to play the likes of Ireland, who have to play France, and also play England. Wow. For the first time ever, I see an All Black side going away and not getting one of those wins, beating Japan on the way, and then kind of knowing they've got to finish the year with a win against Italy.
Oof, that's going to be ugly, mate. And I think for the Northern Hemisphere, there's potentially some rare victories against the All Blacks loading. So interesting November tour coming up. Definitely. I think the All Blacks win this one 34-16.
All right. Boks, Manie Libbok. He's been the talking point all week.
Yes.
I wrote a piece for Keo, the blog, to say I think it's a great call that Rasmus picked him, but picked him to start. And said, I back him to play in this Tony Ball way that we play.
Agreed.
I back him to be, he's a vital cog. If goal kicking is an issue, we look to other people to kick the goals. Do you think we're potentially going to see a bit more of that approach of the Boks at Twickenham, where they don't take anything that's not a gimme in front of the poles? Because Cheslin or Jaden will do the kicking, probably Cheslin. He's put his hand up, he says, I want to kick. He's been, historically, he's 12 kicks he's had for the Boks. I think he's converted 8 of the 12. But to give Manie that freedom to play, and the Bok pack is dominant, I think he can really tear that Argentinian defense apart.
Yes, I think we are definitely going to be taking the line-outs because we don't have a goal kicker. I think Cheslin in his career as the world's best player has kicked 21 times. Well, not 21 times, he's split the uprights 21 times.
In all competitions?
In all competitions. Toulouse, Toulon, Springboks, 21. And
Western Province.
And Stormers. Jaden Hendrickse has 1 successful kick in his senior career.
His brother has a few more.
Yeah, his brother has a few more. So the whole pretense that we've been warming up these backup goal kickers is, I mean, we've gone back to that storyline. I don't really buy it. But it doesn't matter. The point is, Rassie believes in Manie. Rassie believes in this way of playing, and he's backed his decisions on that. And he's come out in support of the players, taken a lot of flack after last week's debacle. Credit to him for that. He'll live and die by those calls, obviously. If the Boks are successful and rack up an epic win against Argentina, it validates the decision, and if they don't, it doesn't. So I think it's great that he's shown faith in Manie because he obviously does believe in him. And I hope for Manie's sake that he has a cracking game and doesn't miss a kick and the Boks fly. That'd be fantastic. They've got the insurance of Polly on the bench. We go from there.
The match 23, 9 changes, 1 positional change. Any surprises there? Did you think Willie may make an appearance?
I'm very surprised that Willie Leroux is not in the mix, to be honest with you. He must be carrying some sort of a niggle. It doesn't make any sense. This is a guy that they were going to take to 100 tests. I'm not really sure what the plan is around that. It's an interesting call. Who goes to fullback if there's an injury there?
Well, Fussie's played well.
Fussy has played well.
Nice to have Colby back.
Colby's the guy that I think should be given much more time at fullback. I'd love to see him play fullback.
Kurt Lee, social media people saying his discipline's an issue. I don't agree with that.
Kurt Lee?
He's competitive. He's always going for that contestable.
That's fantastic.
He's always going to have the potential of a yellow card.
He's disciplined,
Yeah.
as in he's a dirty player.
No, his discipline is like he's conceding too many cards.
But I mean, where?
Look, I think he's
That yellow card, that was a joke.
It was a joke.
It was an absolute joke.
So I think Kurt Lee to get a brace on Saturday.
Oh, glorious. Make it a hat-trick.
Midfield, nice to see Jesse and Damon
Dukes
Delandi
United,
back.
Yeah.
And then obviously the back row, Sia, inspirational. Peter Steff, monster. Jasper will be on the charge. Eben, biggest game, 128 caps. Bongi to start. Malcolm Marks come off the bench. It's just a different look, different feel to the side that went to Santiago.
The heavies are back.
The heavies are back, and they've respected the occasion by going to that 23. And we said in the show earlier in the week, there's a part of you that was glad that it had to come down to this, because it's kind of like another World Cup final.
Totally.
They've got to go out there. They've got to perform to win the Rugby Championship.
Also, it gives us answers. Like, this is a must-win game. You can't mess around here. So, however you play here, this is how you believe is the way to play going forward. You're not going to be experimenting in this game with things you're not really serious about. The way that you play in this must-win game against Argentina is the way you believe you should be playing.
But the fact that he's back Manie to go at 10 as well, it means they're still going to evolve and develop that back play, the Tony ball as you call it. But the basics of the game remain the same. You've got to be strong up front. Your set piece has got to be good. And the one thing that did wobble for us was the line-out. And we need a strong, functioning line-out.
Big time.
And Eben, I think, is the key to that. And then having Bongi back as well. And Bongi does add grunt to that pack.
Oh, I love Bongi.
And great leadership as well.
Yeah.
For me, he's one of the unsung heroes of South African rugby.
Always has been. Always has been, eh? Very much an underdog when he came down to the Stormers from the Bulls, overlooked, and just built himself into a world-class hooker and has taken his shots and lets his play do the talking.
Are you surprised at the 23 that the Pumas have picked, the changes that they've made? Or do you think it's got to do with altitude, it's got to do with travel, that they wanted potentially their stronger players to be finishing the game as opposed to being subbed?
Yeah, so I'm not as au fait with the Argentina lineup as I am with some of the other guys. We don't see them playing domestic rugby as much, obviously. But definitely they made a call there to sort out the goal-kicking issues they had last week. And there's definitely experience on the bench that it looks like they may be loading up for a very tight first 40 and then have guys that can come on and close the game from an experience point of view and game management point of view in the second half.
All right, we have the Boks to win comfortably. We also have a WhatsApp channel. We're waiting for Meta to give us verification. Hopefully that will be soon in the next week or two. They're not the quickest out the blocks of those blokes. But if you go onto the WhatsApp channel, you go onto our affiliate program with eBets, and you put a little wager on points tally, on Bok victories, on whatever you think is going to happen in the URC, you stand a chance to win 2 signed bottles from the legend, the iconic Percy Montgomery, Al Centurion 102. That's in reference to his 102 tests that he played. He signed the bottles. They're at my spot, and I'll be bringing them in next week, and we'll make the draw. And there's always the comment. If you comment and we think your comment is cool, we give you $1,000. We've had a couple of winners already. And always, we just want to say thanks to everyone who stops Zels wherever he goes and says, Boks by 10. People who come up to me and they just want to talk rugger. I was at Red Sofa in Vryburg, one of my favorite places. Breakfast with Ollie and this woman, Alison, from the UK, visiting her brother. I got up and she said, it's you. It's the guy that's the rugby blog that I follow. You, where's your mate? And I was actually on the phone to you just before that. So just the wonderful range of people who have come up to us and just love talking Springboks, love talking rugger, and the passion that there is for the Springboks and for South African rugby at the moment, unrivaled. in all the years that I've been professionally commentating or writing about the game, every match at home, a sellout this year with the test matches. We're a popular team. The world is starting to love the Boks.
Yep.
And our URC teams have kind of made a statement. So the healthiest place that I think we've ever been in professional rugby.
Agreed. No, very much so. South Africa's flying high at the moment on the rugby front, and long may it continue.
And no negativity, eh?
None, mate.
It's just
Certainly none from us.
such positive vibes. I like it. A guy who has been known to be a bit negative in his time has been Manie Man. But we got him positive. He's not going to be getting up for the All Black game, he says. But we got him positive. He's a very, very good tipster. If you go to his Facebook page, Closer to the Time, you can make some cash. He said he made us some cash last week with his go total points. We did bring him in to sit next to Zels, not on his lap, but on the couch. We tried to G him up, get him excited about the Boks winning. And this is what he had to say. Hello, Kevin.
You know, that the betting marks 18.5 point favorites for South Africa. And those that means you've got to lose by, the Boks got to win by 3 converted tries. Can they do that? Sure. I see this being one-way traffic, and I see it being very difficult because you've got a team lying in wait for Argentina when they come back, when they come to the game. But I like the points high at 54. I just think that the conditions, but I imagine out of those 54 points, South Africa's going to get something like 40 of them. So I expect a blowout. I expect the Boks to win by 25, and there to be more than 54.5 points scored, for sure.
All right. Last week we said it was plus 52, I think, eh?
51.5.
Yeah, and then in the Australia-New Zealand game it was plus 54 something. Both games went that way.
Yeah.
And you made 87 cents on the rand.
Yeah, more importantly, if you put 5,000 down like I did, you make...
High roller.
Oh, drinks are on you, mate.
High roller.
Hey?
No, but you know, people can't go full retard, as I say.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
You've got to watch the whole video, you know.
All right, so now New Zealand in Wellington, they haven't won there since 2018 against an Australian side who will arrive in New Zealand with a lot of belief, given what happened in the last 20 minutes. What are the odds there? Where would you go? Stay away from it or make some money from it?
I'd stay away from it. You know, I wouldn't touch it. One, it's on too early for me to get up. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try and enjoy my Saturday and just focus on the Springbok game and maybe some URC stuff, which I haven't dissected yet. But
All right. But the URC stuff, go to Money Man's page, Closer to the Time, his Facebook page. He'll give you the great odds. Visit eBet as well. And please be responsible with your cash and make sure you listen to us, because that way you probably will be losing.
Tap and go now from Reinach.